So, welcome back to the channel. Nigeria diaspora retiree. It's getting to that time of the year where I think of going back to Nigeria, going back to Lagos, being warmer climate. It's getting colder in the UK. It's grey in London. So, yeah, last week we looked at um, the costs for those of you that are thinking of retiring back to Lagos, Nigeria, and would think a rented accommodation be the best option for you because you're spending quite a bit of time either permanently or in or out. Now, however, there may be some of you who only just want to come for the winter. When I say winter, probably just a few months, 1 or 2 months, 1, 2, 3 months, December, January, February, March. The main option open to you would be really hotel accommodation or self-catering through Airbnb. And we're going to look at options available to you if you have £500, £1,000, £2,000. £500, I've calculated it at $670. £1,000 I've calculated at $1,340, and £2,000 I've calculated at $2,680. But obviously, you can do the exchange rate. So let's get down to the basics. I would say that the locations I've chosen, they are locations that I have been to myself, either lived in personally, been there, lived there, or have friends there, so I know them in and out. And we'll look at them under the headings of location options, accommodation options you have available at that amount, and things like feeding, internet, and miscellaneous personal care, um, entertainment, etc. So, starting with £500 a month, we're talking about a month, that will be get you 900,000 naira a month. What locations could you look at? I would suggest if you're coming from the diaspora, coming from Europe, coming from America, Canada, you want a balance between some quiet and some entertainment. So I would suggest the following areas in Lagos for that amount, because obviously you wouldn't be able to get the high, more costly areas, but there are still some decent areas. And as I said, these areas are connected to the mainland. They will get you to other parts of the mainland, and they will get you to Lekki. Okay, so what are these areas? These areas I would suggest for you would be the axis of Egbeda, Agege, Dokpemu, Ipaja. Access, I know that them well. Would be also for those of you that want a bit more beachy life, Epe, Ibejuleki. If you want quiet beachy life, Badagry, and if you want some more social life but a bit crowded, Ikurudu. You would be able to uh, survive and live fairly well on, well, when I say fairly well, better than a lot of people who are already in Nigeria, but you will be able to manage. Yeah, that's the word, manage. You'll be able to manage yourself on this amount. And how would I suggest you would do it? You would be looking at hotel accommodation. I don't think you will be able to see Airbnb for this amount. Accommodation, you'll be looking at spending something like 500,000 naira a month out of that 900,000, 500,000 naira a month. And the good thing about Nigerian accommodation is that you stay longer, they would give you discount. So you get some discount. So that's the accommodation sorted. Um, I have a website that I use, hotel.ng. It gives you it has a very wide selection of hotels available all around Nigeria for you to look at. I advise look at, then contact the hotels directly. Don't necessarily pay directly through them. And I will put that the name of that app on the bio at the end of today's post. So you sorted out your accommodation. What do you have left? You have left. You have about 400,000 left. How would you be able to spend that? You would be probably looking at feeding 250,000 naira, because you're staying in a more working class area. That would get you at least a decent cash there. You get a meal out in a decent cash every day, your lunch out, and then probably eat a local evening meal. You may buy some food and eat in your hotel. So that would be 250. Internet, I don't think you would get Wi-Fi in this type of accommodation. You would need to use 50,000 for, say, not unlimited, but adequate enough data. You probably need 50,000 naira. And I would talk about things like data, phones, etc., in the next post. And then that will leave you with 100,000 naira for your basic miscellaneous socializing, personal care. So you will be using the local barber, if you're a local hairdresser, if you need to do your hair. You would probably use the local buses, the local cabs to go out once in a while. um, yeah, so it's manageable, it's doable, because even the 100 is it's more than the minimum wage. So it's doable, the 100 you have left. But let's be realistic. For this amount, you will need to do a lot of self entertainment, probably have your books, probably you'll be watching your films, etc. But just visiting friends, and going to the local watering joints once in a while, but it's doable. Now, if you have £1,000 to spare a month, which is actually the UK pension, those of us that retired, that's about what we get if we don't have any other source of income. And that gets you 1,900,000 naira. Obviously, with £1,000 a month, you have better options than 500. So the locations I would suggest if you've got this amount per month would be the likes of Ibitimeta, parts of Surulere, parts of Lekki, parts of Ikeja, uh, parts of Maryland, Ilupeju. Again, if you like the beachy side, you could stay in Ekpe, or Badagry. It's up to you, or Ikurudu, but at least you would then get better accommodation. And at that amount, if you've got £1,000, you have the option of hotel or self catering Airbnbs. I've checked online; there are Airbnbs that you could get. You could take, obviously, you pull a chunk of that money out, but that gives you the self catering option as well. So, how much will you be looking at spending? I would say hotel accommodation, probably 1 million a month, 1 million naira out of that 1.9, 1,900,000 naira. You'll probably be looking at spending 1 million naira a month. And because you're staying in a hotel in that area for that time, you could do some negotiation. Airbnb, studio, small flat, maybe one bedroom flat, but most prices at that amount I've been seeing a studio. You could get a studio for 400 to £600 in those areas. I've checked, so they're available. Feeding. Obviously, you've got more money, so you can feed a bit more better. You can splash out on feeding. I would say you could uh, 500K, 500,000 naira. You could go to restaurants, uh, treat yourself a bit more, go to a few more restaurants, have a few more meals out. However, you could also save a bit of money if you're doing health self catering, because obviously cooking, buying food indoors will be cheaper. And with that amount, if you budgeted 500, half a million naira for feeding for a month, with that amount, you could even probably get yourself a seasonal freelance cook to come in once a week to do some cooking for you. You could get a housekeeper who would come in a couple of days a week to do washing and cleaning for you. In terms of internet, that amount you would definitely get Wi-Fi supplied, so you will save on the Wi-Fi. So you still probably just need um, 50,000 naira for one of those bigger gigabyte plans. If you wanted to go higher, you could probably get 75,000 naira. That's more than enough. Yep. And miscellaneous travel, miscellaneous socializing, personal care, that still leaves you with about 300,000 naira. And with that, you could definitely go on a few guided tours. I run some slow tours. You could go on one or two of that. You could go on, you could have your own itinerary and use Bolt, Uber, InDrive taxi apps and go to places there. And yeah, and you could even get out of Lagos one weekend in a month. So you'd have, obviously you've got more money, so you would have a better social life. So finally, let's look at the higher level of £2,000 a month, which came to 2,600 plus dollars a month. Now, obviously, that's way above the UK state pension. But I know that a lot of people also have private pensions added to their UK state pension. A lot of people also have income in terms of uh, their property that they can rent out. So it is doable. And I have been told that that the Social Security pension of US is about 2,000 plus anyway. So it's doable. So what locations could you say? So apart from all the other locations we've looked at in those areas, and going obviously for the best location, the best property accommodation in those areas, you could also stay in most parts of Lekki uh, and the posher parts of Surulere, Jare, Keja, and even parts of VI and Victoria Island. I've looked on hotel.ng and also Airbnb, and yeah, you could do those. You could do those places I just mentioned now. So, 2,000 pounds comes to about 308, 3 million. Sorry, not 300, 3,800,000 naira. Now, whichever way you look at it, that is a decent amount of money, and you could um, not only stay in a decent hotel. When I say decent, from middle, middle level to a higher end hotel for that amount. You could also stay in a decent Airbnb for that amount as well, if you've got that amount available to you. So hotel wise, you could stay in a hotel per month for 1.5 million. I would say estimate 1.5 million. You get decent hotels for that for 1.5 million. Obviously, it's not going to be uh, the Hilton or the new the new Moyet in Ikeja, but it's not going to be that. But it's going to get decent hotels. Um, and you could budget £800 a month, £900 a month on a decent Airbnb accommodation, and still have quite a lot left to do other things. Because that's the point of retirement, not just staying indoors, but having your freedom to do other things you like to do. So after the hotel accommodation, I would say feeding. You could say actually, I'm going to budget 1 million plus for feeding, and that will ensure that if you're living in if you're staying at hotel accommodation, you could eat their meals if you want. Although generally you find out that hotel meals are not really good. What I do sometimes, I stay in a lower level hotel and then go to. There are a few posh hotels that have restaurants, and you can go to their meal there. You will enjoy them. Uh, or you simply look for some more decent restaurants and cafes around the place you're staying. You could eat out there. And if you are in an Airbnb, that means you could actually conveniently spend some of that money uh, um, you know, calling in a freelance cook who will cook a few meals for you. You could put them in the fridge. You have them there to eat when you want, and you could also get a housekeeper. So you have 1 million plus. That was more than enough for you um, for feeding in a month. And internet, I would say, generally speaking, because you're more on the more affordable, well, decent hotel accommodation, and you're in an Airbnb that's more upmarket a bit, you are going to get Wi-Fi available there. So you just need Wi-Fi for your when you're out and about. Again, 50,000 to 75,000 K would give you a decent Wi-Fi plan. Finally, miscellaneous for things like uh, care, personal care, travel, entertainment, socializing. You've got 750 to a million naira still available, and you could do quite a bit with that. You could obviously look at coming on some of my slow tours. You could do your own itinerary, go out on boat. You could, with that amount, also budget weekends away from Lagos. Weekends go to a place like Ibadan, go to places like Enugu, go to places like Abeokuta, Port Harcourt, Uyo, all these places I mentioned I've been to, Abuja. Even that means including the return flight ticket. 200K for the ticket and then a decent price accommodation in those places. So that will give you quite a lot of time, amount of money to explore Nigeria on a decent budget. Yes, you are not one of the big spenders, but then if you were one of the big spenders, you wouldn't be uh, listening to me anyway, because you would have your networks. But what it means is that you can do it. So I hope this channel has been useful. In the next post, we'll be looking at some of the peculiarities of hotel stay and some of the things you could bring to make your stay better. But I hope I've assured you that you could manage on £500 a month, and you could enjoy yourself adequately well on £1,000 a month, and you could have a really buzzing holiday. A short holiday, if spending 2 or 3 months on £2,000 a month in Lagos. And also, don't forget, Nigeria is not just Lagos. So if you go outside Lagos and stay, you are even going to have a best, your money will even go further. Anyway, please consider subscribing to this channel, liking the channel, sharing with your friends, and also please make comments. I am particularly interested in comments, so I could know the type of things you want me to be exploring on this channel. In the meantime, take care.